Here's what we're going to make today. We're going to make a genuine number and letter metal stamp holder thingamabobby. And you can buy these things to do this same task, but they're up and around $250 mark. This one's going to be made to hold 5 30-seconds numbers and letters. It'll hold up to 7 of them in there. So that's what we're going to make. Y'all stay tuned. When I get done, I guarantee you'll be able to make your own. And stay tuned towards the end for a special announcement. That's special. A special announcement from a special kind of guy. To start this off, I'm going to cut these 2 pieces right here. These were just right at 2 inches long, but I'm going to make this set 2.5 so it'll hold more letters. So we'll cut right down the middle of that line. So there's those 2 pieces, which feel like I got them exactly the same length. That's quite amazing. So I need a small piece of 1/4 inch to weld in to this end right here. About a 1/4 inch square. And there's that. Now I need something to make a handle out of. And I've got a piece here. It appears to be 5/8. And yes, it is. And the handle does not need to be anywhere near as long as the one on mine here, which is 8.5 inches long. Actually, 6 inches is a plenty. So we'll just cut that off at 6 inches. Set that piece there over here before I lose it. There's a handle. And I need a nut and a bolt if I have one. Well, I do happen to have a bolt that's way too long. However, I can get a bolt. All I need this one for is just for the setup of it. So we'll thread that all the way down into that nut. We don't need it right at this moment. First thing I need to do is weld this all up. Now I may have told some of this story before, I don't know, but when I was a wee lad, just about 20 years ago, My father wore bifocals, somewhat like these are, except his had lines. They didn't have transitions back then. Anyway, he had a pair of glasses that he'd switched to when he filed the saw at the sawmill. And unbearably he'd forget that down there. He'd get to the house, get ready to read the paper. He said, "Bill, go down and get my other glasses for me." So I'd have to walk down there and get them. And I never could understood why, when he had this pair of glasses on his head, he would need another pair of glasses. Well, now I know, because I have that pair of glasses that if I want to weld worth a daggone, I need to swap to, and I can't see you unless I'm about right here. Back here, you look like you're awful fuzzy. So let's change glasses and let's get to welding. Now, as good as I got that clamped together, I don't think it's going to go anywhere while I weld on it, so I'm going to go ahead and weld that whole top joint. And weld that other one. I'll just flip that right like that. Y'all still see that just fine. Maybe move you just a little bit. I do believe that's stuck. Now, because this 3/8 inch bolt has to go all the way down between those two side pieces to do its job, I need to drill a hole in the middle of them. Now, I've got this clamped in my vise here so that it won't spread apart. I haven't got it clamped in real tight, doesn't matter. So I need it, and I've got my tabletop set so that my drill bit goes down as far as I want to and stops. So I just need to drill that as far as I can. How does that fit down in there? Just fine. Just like that. And that's why I had to drill that out, so that that bolt would go down in there and act like a vise. Now we can go back to welding. I can weld that nut on there and weld the handle on. Yeah, I got my clamp a little bit there, but I think it'll come loose. No better a welder than I am. Here's where we are so far. Now what we need to do is to make this piece here that slides up and down inside there, that clamps up beside the letters. So I've got a piece over here that's 2 inches long. We'll have to grind on it a little bit. But it will do just fine. And we'll need that little piece there to weld onto the end of it after we get it inserted in there. You can see that. Has the shape of an eye. Now I need to grind that down a little bit because it will not slide in there. Well, no, wait a minute. I was wrong. It actually slides in there quite easily. So it's a little bit too long. Not a lot, just a little bit. We want that T, or that I, excuse me, to not be as long as the letters. So I need to cut just a little bit off of it. Not a lot, just a little bit. That'll probably do it. Little dab will do you. Yes, that'll be fine. Now I need to weld that on there. How we doing over here? I got that. Get it there. Where you at? Where you at? I got that eye welded up in there. I need to put the striking head on there. That's this piece right here. At first I did not have that piece on this one, but you have to hit all the letters exactly at the same time, and it was harder to do without that on there. And that also lines the letters up real good when you put them in. One of the funny little quirks about this camera I'm using, and I've been thinking about upgrading it for this reason. The damn thing will not record unless you hit that button that says REC. I don't know what the heck the deal is with that. Anyway, because of that, you didn't get me to see me weld this nut on. You didn't get to see me weld that little spot right there. Let me see if I can get you in close. Now, there's not a lot of strength needed in that weld right there. All it does is hold that bottom piece on so that that won't fall out of there. And it's hard to get a weld onto it without welding onto the sides, but it can be done. As you can see, I did right there. Now, I did weld on the other side of it. Let me pull this bolt out of here because that is not attached anymore. I'll talk about that in a little bit. There, you can see that a little bit right now. Get my pointer back out. That I did weld that on that side right there, and then I took a file and flattened it off. This side here has to be flat because it's the side that goes up against the numbers. Now, that bolt, when I drilled this hole out so that that bolt would slide down in there, I did it with a 3/8 bolt. And it got just a little bit tight. It got to where you couldn't run this bolt up and down through there by hand. You had to do it with a wrench. So after I got it all welded up and together, I got the bright idea of running a tap down inside there so that that would go up and down through there easier. Well, I took my tap down through, it got down past the nut and I could not get it back out. It was, the threads were out of time between down inside there and the nut. So I had to take my cutoff wheel and cut that nut off of there. Seeing as how I had it off and I had to get another bolt anyway, today I went ahead and bought a 5/16 inch bolt, which is plenty big enough. With threads all the way down it, it's a 2.5 inch bolt. It only needs to go down that deep. Zoom you out a little bit here. It only has to go down in there that deep, and not even that deep, because if you have one letter in it, it's going to be back up this way. 5/32 of an inch is what my numbers are. So that's plenty long enough. So that's a 2.5 inch bolt, threads all the way down it. It's 5/16. It'll fit in that 3/8 hole with a lot of spare room and run up and down inside there a lot better. So that's where I'm at today. We're going to take that out of there and we'll weld that nut on there instead, and that will be a lot better. Now, because a grinder and some paint will make a welder what he ain't, I did a little bit of grinding on some of those welds to smooth them out a little bit. Took off some of the mill scale, put some finger notches on there. I wanted to flatten out a spot so I could put my touch mark on here. So instead of firing up the forge for just that little bit, I'm going to get out the gas wrench here to heat that up. I think I'll use my newest ball peen hammer. I bought this. There's a big flea market place here on 40, real close, just outside of Plainfield, Indiana, called Gillies. Doesn't look real big out front, but it just goes on forever once you get inside there. And every now and then there's a good find in there, and I found this, what pretty much appears to be a hand-forged ball peen hammer. If you look here, there's some signs here where it's not been stamped out in the factory anyway. I think I'll just use that right there. That'd be the first time I've used that. I said I'd use my torch. I guess I was wrong. I am out of acetylene gas. So I guess we'll light up the forge. Well, if I was going to do that with the torch, I was going to mark it up here, but I think seeing as how I'm going to do it with the forge, I'm going to do it down on this end. And we'll flatten out a little spot there. That come out real nice. Well, I think while we got a fire going and we got it hot, we'll just put the year on there while we're at it. I have found the best thing to do when you're using these numbers like this is just to put them in there, give them a tap on a piece of wood, and look at them. See if you've got them in the right direction. And I do. 2019. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. Now I'll let that cool off. I'll put my fire out. Well, it's still just a little bit warm, but it's done. See if we can get a... There's the touch mark. And there's the 2019. Not completely legible, but you can tell what it is if you know what it is. The bolt goes in and out real easy. Now every time I use mine, I have to tighten this down with a wrench. You get it snugged up by hand, you think there's no way them's going to fall out of there, and you tip them up and they all fall out. So that's one thing about it. Now the story behind this is there were a few people asking me about mine when I used it on one of my videos. You can buy these things, they're like this, but they're up around $250. And as you can see, it sure as a heck didn't cost me that much to make it. Now I reached 1,000 subscribers sometime at the beginning of the winter. So I thought I ought to have a giveaway, and this is what I'm giving away. Now I would appreciate it very much if the only people that entered the giveaway if they'd actually had a use for it. Somewhat like one of the blacksmiths that watch my videos. Later on, I'll leave this video up because it shows how I made it, and for sure it would be real simple for you guys that don't win it just to go out and make one yourself. It's not that difficult if I can do it. If you want to win this, put in the comments the word TEKTON. The reason I say that, and I wanted to bring that up, this is the number set that I have that I use for this. I don't think it's a lot different from the set that you get at Harbor Freight. It's 5/32. That's what'll fit in here. This space is welded up at 1/4 inch. And this 5/32 is pretty tight in there. So I'm pretty sure the Harbor Freight set will fit in there. I might do some research when I get in and put in the doobly-doo how big the Harbor Freight ones are. So there we go. One genuine number stamp holder.